In a galaxy far, far away, a strange and beautiful world called Xylox spun around its dying star. The Xyloxians, tall beings with shimmering blue skin and 4 arms, had lived on this planet for millions of years. They were very smart and had built amazing things. But now, they faced a big problem. One day, in the biggest city on Xylox, the top scientists met in a large round room. The room was full of blinking lights and big screens showing stars and numbers. The lead scientist, Xarlin, stood up. Her long, silver hair moved like water as she walked to the center of the room. "Friends," she said, her voice shaking a little, "I have bad news. Our sun is dying faster than we thought. We only have 10 years left before it goes boom." The room got very quiet. Then, everyone started talking at once. They were scared. Their whole world was in danger. Xarlin held up all 4 of her hands to make everyone be quiet. "We have tried everything we know," she said, "but we can't fix our sun. We need help." Another scientist named Vortex stood up. He was young for a Xyloxian, only 200 years old. "But who can help us?" he asked. "We are the smartest beings we know." Xarlin looked at him with her big purple eyes. "Maybe," she said, "there are others out there who know things we don't. We must ask for help." The Xyloxian leaders agreed. They decided to send a message into space. They hoped someone, somewhere, would hear them and come to help. For many days and nights, the Xyloxians worked hard. They built a huge machine on top of the tallest mountain on Xylox. This machine could send a very strong signal into space. It used all the power they had. Finally, the day came to send the message. All the Xyloxians gathered around view screens to watch. Xarlin stood next to the big machine. She took a deep breath and pressed a glowing button. The machine hummed and shook. A bright beam of light shot up into the sky. It carried their message. "Help us. Our world is dying. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need you." The beam went on for days, sending the message over and over. The Xyloxians waited and hoped. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, no one answered. Many Xyloxians began to lose hope. But Xarlin didn't give up. "Keep the signal going," she told everyone. "Someone will hear us. Someone will come." Meanwhile, on a small blue planet called Earth, in a place called New Mexico, something interesting was happening. In a field full of big satellite dishes, a young woman named Sarah was working late. She was part of a group called SETI, which looks for signs of life in space. Sarah was about to go home when one of her computers started beeping. She walked over and looked at the screen. Her eyes got big. "No way," she whispered. She saw a pattern in the signal that was different from anything she had ever seen before. It wasn't random noise from space. It looked intelligent. Sarah's hand shook as she picked up her phone. She called her boss, Dr. Johnson. "Sir," she said, trying to stay calm, "I think you need to come see this. I think we just made first contact." Dr. Johnson rushed to the lab. Soon, more scientists came. They worked all night, trying to understand the signal. By morning, they knew it was a message from another world, a world that needed help. The news spread fast. All over Earth, people talked about the signal. Some were excited, some were scared, but everyone agreed. This was the biggest thing that had ever happened to humanity. World leaders met to decide what to do. Should they answer the call? Could they even help? It was a big decision, maybe the biggest in human history. As debates raged on Earth, far away on Xylox, Xarlin looked up at the night sky. She didn't know it yet, but her people's cry for help had been heard. And soon, humanity would show the universe what it was capable of. The greatest adventure in Earth's history was about to begin. The news of the alien signal spread like wildfire across Earth. People everywhere talked about it. In homes, schools, and workplaces, everyone had an opinion. Some were excited, some were scared, and some didn't believe it at all. World leaders called for an emergency meeting at the United Nations in New York. They needed to decide what to do. Should Earth answer the call for help? On the day of the meeting, the UN building was surrounded by crowds. People held signs that said things like "Welcome aliens" and "Earth first." The whole world watched and waited. Inside, Sarah from HFY stood in front of the world leaders. Her hand shook as she held her notes. She had never spoken to such important people before. "The signal is real," she said, her voice getting stronger as she spoke. "It's from a planet 50 light years away. They call themselves the Xyloxians. Their star is dying, and they need our help." The room buzzed with whispers. An older man stood up. It was Dr. Yamaguchi, a famous scientist from Japan. "But how can we help?" he asked. "We've never even left our own solar system." Sarah took a deep breath. "That's true," she said, "but we've been working on new technology. We think we can build a ship that can travel faster than light. It's risky, but it might work." The leaders talked for hours. Some thought it was too dangerous. Others said it was their duty to help. As the debate went on, the President of the United States stood up. "Friends," she said, "this is our chance to show what humanity can do. Yes, it's risky. But think about it. If we were in trouble, wouldn't we want someone to help us? I say we do this. Let's show the universe what Earth is made of." Her words changed many minds. In the end, they voted. The decision was made. Earth would help the Xyloxians. The next few months were the busiest in Earth's history. Countries that used to fight each other now worked together. Scientists shared their best ideas. Engineers worked day and night to build the spaceship. They called the ship Hope Bringer. It was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built in space. It looked like a long silver arrow with big engines at the back. But they needed a crew. Who would go on this dangerous mission? All over the world, people volunteered. Millions wanted to be part of this historic journey. But only the best would be chosen. After many tests, they picked the crew. There was Maria, a brilliant engineer from Brazil. John, a brave pilot from Canada. Dr. Chen, a medical expert from China. And many others, each the best in their field. The captain was an experienced astronaut named Alex. He had been to the moon and Mars, but this was far beyond anything he had done before. As the day of the launch got closer, Alex met with Sarah. They stood looking at the massive Hope Bringer in its hangar. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah asked. "It's such a long way." Alex nodded. "Someone has to go," he said. "And hey, maybe we'll make some new friends out there." Sarah smiled, but she looked worried. "Just be careful, okay? And bring back some cool alien stuff for me to study." On launch day, millions of people gathered to watch. The Hope Bringer stood on the launch pad, gleaming in the sunlight. Inside, Alex and his crew strapped themselves in. "All systems go," said John from the pilot's seat. Alex looked at his crew. "Ready to make history?" he asked. They all nodded, excitement and fear in their eyes. Alex pressed the button. "Mission Control, this is Hope Bringer. We are go for launch." The engines roared to life. Slowly, then faster and faster, the ship rose into the sky. People cheered and cried as they watched it go. Higher and higher it went, until it was just a tiny dot in the sky. Then, with a flash of light, it was gone. The Hope Bringer had started its long journey to save an alien world. Back on Earth, Sarah watched the sky long after the ship had disappeared. "Good luck," she whispered. "The whole universe is watching now." And so, humanity's greatest adventure began. They didn't know what they would find out there, but they knew one thing. They were going to give it everything they had. The universe had called for help, and Earth had answered. The Hope Bringer zoomed through space faster than any human ship before. Inside, Captain Alex and his crew were busy. They had a lot to do on their long journey to the Xyloxian planet. "How's our course, John?" Alex asked. floating into the control room. John, the pilot, looked up from his screens. "We're on track, Cap, but we've got a problem coming up." He pointed to a blinking red dot on the map. "There's a big asteroid field ahead. We'll have to go through it." Alex nodded. "Okay, let's get everyone ready. This could be rough." The crew strapped in as the ship neared the asteroid field. Huge rocks floated everywhere, some as big as mountains. John's hands flew over the controls. The ship ducked and weaved between the asteroids. Everyone held their breath. Boom! A small rock hit the ship. Alarms went off. "Damage report," Alex yelled. Maria, the engineer, checked her screens. "Minor damage to the outer hull. We're okay, but we can't take many more hits like that." For hours, they navigated through the dangerous field. Finally, they came out the other side. Everyone cheered. "Great flying, John," Alex said, patting the pilot's shoulder. But their troubles weren't over. A few days later, Dr. Chen, the medical officer, called an emergency meeting. "We have a problem," she said, looking worried. "Our food supplies are going bad faster than we expected. The space radiation is affecting them." The crew looked at each other. Without food, they couldn't complete their mission. "Any ideas?" Alex asked. Ava, the ship's biologist, spoke up. "I think I can help. We can use the empty cargo bay to grow food. I brought some seeds, just in case." Alex smiled. "Good thinking, Ava. Let's do it." Over the next weeks, they turned part of the ship into a garden. Green plants soon filled the room, giving them fresh food and oxygen. As they traveled deeper into space, strange things started to happen. One day, Yuki, the communications officer, heard something odd. "Captain, you need to hear this," she said, putting it on the speakers. A weird musical sound filled the room. It was beautiful but eerie. "What is it?" Alex asked. Nobody knew. It wasn't like anything they'd heard before. Suddenly, a bright light appeared outside the ship. It pulsed with the music. "Look!" John pointed at the window. They saw a huge, glowing creature floating in space. It looked like a giant jellyfish, but it was as big as their ship. The creature swam closer. Everyone watched, amazed and a little scared. Then it started to change color. First blue, then green, then all the colors of the rainbow. "It's communicating," Yuki said softly. The colors matched the music. For hours, the creature swam around their ship, singing its colorful song. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it swam away into the darkness of space. "Well," Alex said, breaking the silence, "I guess we're not alone out here." The crew talked excitedly about their encounter. They had just met their first alien life form. As the days passed, they saw more amazing things. Strange, glowing clouds that seemed alive. A field of floating crystals that chimed like bells when the ship passed through. But it wasn't all fun. Sometimes they hit rough patches of space that shook the ship. Other times, they had to fix things that broke. Through it all, the crew grew closer. They were like a family now, working together, solving problems, and sharing the wonders they saw. One night, Alex couldn't sleep. He floated to the observation deck and looked out at the stars. They looked different out here, far from Earth. Maria joined him. "Penny for your thoughts, Cap," she asked. Alex smiled, "Just thinking about home, and about where we're going. Do you think we can really help these aliens?" Maria put a hand on his shoulder. "I don't know, but I know we'll give it our best shot. That's what humans do, right? We help each other, even if each other turns out to be blue aliens from another planet." Alex laughed. "You're right. Thanks, Maria." As they watched, a shooting star streaked past. "Make a wish," Maria said. Alex closed his eyes. He wished for the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Because he knew, deep in space, anything could happen. And the hope bringer flew on, carrying the hopes of two worlds with it. After months of travel, the Hope Bringer finally reached the Xyloxian solar system. Excitement filled the ship as they approached the alien planet. "There it is," John said, pointing at a blue-green world on the main screen. Xylox. The crew gathered around, amazed. The planet looked a bit like Earth, but with 2 moons and strange, swirling patterns in its atmosphere. "It's beautiful," Ava whispered. Suddenly, Yuki's console beeped. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the planet." Alex took a deep breath. "This is it, everyone. First contact." Yuki put it on screen. The main screen flickered, and then they saw them, the Xyloxians. The aliens had shimmering blue skin, 4 arms, and large, purple eyes. The crew gasped. One Xyloxian stepped forward. "Greetings, beings from Earth," it said in a musical voice. "I am Sarlin, lead scientist of Xylox. We welcome you to our world." Alex cleared his throat. "Greetings, Sarlin. I'm Captain Alex of the starship Hope Bringer. We've come in response to your distress signal." Zarlin's eyes widened. You understood our message, and you came all this way to help us." "We did." Alex nodded. "We're here to help in any way we can." Tears formed in Zarlin's eyes. "We had almost lost hope. Please, come down to our world. We have much to discuss." The Hope Bringer landed on a large platform in the Xyloxian capital city. As the crew stepped out, they were amazed. Tall, crystal-like buildings sparkled in the light of the dying star. Strange vehicles zipped through the air. A group of Xyloxians waited to greet them. Sarlin was at the front, along with other scientists and leaders. "Welcome to Xylox," Sarlin said, bowing slightly. Alex and his crew tried to bow back, but with only 2 arms, it looked a bit awkward. The Xyloxians tittered, a sound like tinkling bells. "We mean no offense," one Xyloxian said quickly. "It's just, you look so different from us." "No offense taken," Alex smiled. "We find you quite amazing too." As they walked through the city, both humans and Xyloxians asked each other countless questions. The humans were fascinated by Xyloxian technology, which seemed almost like magic. "How does this work?" Maria asked, pointing at a floating transport. A young Xyloxian named Vortek explained. "It uses gravity manipulation. Here, let me show you." But when Vortek tried to demonstrate, Maria couldn't understand the control panel. It was designed for beings with 4 arms and different shaped hands. "This might be harder than we thought," Maria muttered to Alex. Meanwhile, the Xyloxians were equally puzzled by human things. They marveled at simple items like zippers and were confused by concepts like handshakes. "Why do you grasp appendages to greet each other?" one Xyloxian asked, looking perplexed. John laughed. "You know, I've never really thought about why. It's just what we do." Despite the differences, both species were eager to learn from each other. The humans shared their knowledge of space travel, while the Xyloxians explained their advanced energy systems. But communication wasn't always easy. The translation devices sometimes made mistakes, leading to funny misunderstandings. Once, when Alex tried to compliment Xyloxian food, the translator made it sound like he was insulting their ancestors. It took a lot of apologizing and laughing to clear that up. As night fell, the humans got their first look at Xylox's twin moons. The sight was breathtaking, but it was a stark reminder of why they were here. The moons looked too close, affected by the dying star's changing gravity. Zarlin noticed their worried looks. "Yes," she said sadly, "our time grows short. Come, we must show you the full extent of our problem." She led them to a massive observatory. Inside, a huge hologram of the Xyloxian solar system filled the room. The star at the center pulsed an angry red. "Our sun will go supernova in less than 10 years, Zarlin explained. "We've tried everything we know to stop it, but nothing works." The humans exchanged glances. This was even worse than they'd thought. "We'll need to combine our knowledge," Dr. Chen said. "It's a long shot, but maybe together we can find a solution." Zarlin nodded. "Yes, that is our hope. But if we can't save our world—" She paused, looking uncomfortable. "What is it?" Alex asked gently. Zarlin's voice was barely a whisper. "If we can't save our world, we hoped, perhaps you could help us find a new one." The room fell silent. The humans realized the full weight of their mission. They weren't just here to save a planet. They might need to save an entire species. Alex looked at his crew, then back at Zarlin. "We'll do everything in our power to help you," he said firmly. "Whatever it takes." As the two species began their work together, both felt a mix of hope and fear. The challenges ahead were enormous, but so was their determination to overcome them. The fate of the Zaloxians now rested in the hands of both species. It would take all their combined knowledge, skills, and courage to face what lay ahead. Days turned into weeks as the humans and Zaloxians worked tirelessly to save the dying star. They set up a big lab where both species could work together. In the lab, Maria and Vortek were trying to combine Earth's rocket technology with Xyloxian energy systems. They hoped to create a device that could stabilize the star. "If we can inject this coolant directly into the star's core," Maria explained, pointing to a diagram, "it might slow down the reaction." Vortek nodded, his four hands moving quickly over a strange-looking computer. "Yes, but we need a way to protect the device from the intense heat." Meanwhile, Ava and a Xyloxian botanist named Zil Ara were working on a backup plan. They were trying to find planets where Xyloxians could live if they had to leave their world. "What about this one?" Ava asked, pointing to a green planet on a star map. Zil Ara shook her head. "Too much oxygen. We need less than you humans do." As they worked, humans and Xyloxians learned more about each other. They shared meals, told stories, and even tried to teach each other games. One day, John tried to explain baseball to a group of Xyloxians. He used fruit as balls and cleaning tools as bats. It was a funny sight, with Xyloxians swinging mops with all four arms. But it wasn't all fun and games. The pressure was intense, and sometimes tempers flared. One day, Dr. Chen and Zarlin got into a heated argument about how to proceed with an experiment. "We can't rush this," Dr. Chen insisted. "If we make a mistake, it could make the star explode even faster." Zarlin's skin turned a dark blue, a sign of anger. "We don't have time to triple-check everything. My people are dying." Alex had to step in to calm them down. "We're all on the same side here," he reminded them. "We need to work together." After that, things got better. Both species made an effort to understand each other's points of view. As weeks passed, they had some success. The coolant device was built and ready to test. Everyone gathered to watch the first trial. Maria pressed the launch button. The device shot up into space, heading for the dying star. Everyone held their breath as it got closer and closer to the fiery surface. Suddenly, alarms blared. "It's breaking up," Vortek yelled. On the screen, they watched in horror as the device disintegrated just before it could enter the star. The room fell silent. Months of work, gone in seconds. But they couldn't give up. They went back to work, trying to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. Time was running out. The star was getting more unstable every day. Strange storms swept across Xylox, and the ground often shook with quakes. One night, as Alex was walking back to the Hope Bringer, he saw a young Xyloxian child looking up at the sky. The child's parent was pointing at the stars, probably explaining what was happening. The sight made Alex's heart ache. He thought of Earth, of his own family. He knew he had to do everything possible to save these people. The next day, Alex called a meeting with both human and Xyloxian leaders. "We need to face facts," he said. "We might not be able to save the star. We need to seriously consider evacuation." The room erupted in voices. Many Zyloxians didn't want to leave their home. Some humans weren't sure if Earth could handle millions of alien refugees. But then, an old Zyloxian stood up. Everyone quieted down to listen. "I have lived many years," he said, his voice shaky but strong. "I love our world. But what makes Zylox special isn't the dirt or the buildings. It's us, the Zyloxians. If we must leave to survive, then leave we must." His words changed many minds. They decided to work on both plans, trying to save the star and preparing for evacuation. The next few days were a flurry of activity. Some worked on improving the coolant device. Others started planning how to move millions of Zyloxians. But then something unexpected happened. Yuki picked up a strange signal coming from deep space. "Captain," she called to Alex. I think someone else is coming." Alex rushed to her station. "Who? More humans?" Yuki shook her head, looking puzzled. "No, it's not from Earth. And it's not Zyloxian either." As they tried to decode the message, everyone wondered, was this new arrival a friend or foe? Would it bring help or more problems? With time running out and a mysterious signal approaching, the humans and Zyloxians faced their biggest challenge yet. The next few days would determine the fate of an entire world. The mysterious signal grew stronger as a strange ship entered the Zyloxian solar system. Everyone watched nervously as it approached. "It's slowing down," John reported from his pilot station. "I think they're going to stop near us." Suddenly, a new face appeared on the main screen. It wasn't human or Zyloxian. The alien had green, scaly skin and big golden eyes. "Greetings," it said in a deep, rumbling voice. "I am Captain Zork of the Galactic Alliance. We picked up your distress signal and came to help." Alex stepped forward. "We're grateful for your offer, Captain Zork. I'm Captain Alex from Earth, and these are our Zyloxian friends. Their star is dying. Can you help us save it?" Zork nodded gravely. "We've seen this before. There might be a way, but it's very dangerous." He explained their plan. They had a device that could stabilize the star, but it had to be placed directly in the star's core. The problem was, whoever took it there wouldn't survive. The room fell silent as everyone realized what this meant. Someone would have to sacrifice their life to save the planet. Zarlin spoke first. "I'll do it," she said quietly. "It's my world. It should be me." But Alex shook his head. "No, Carolyn. Your people need you to lead them, especially if this doesn't work. I'll go." His crew immediately protested. "You can't, Captain," Maria cried. "We need you." "I'll do it," John volunteered. "I'm the best pilot. I have the best chance of getting the device to the core." As they argued, Dr. Chen quietly slipped out of the room. No one noticed her leave. Meanwhile, Zork's crew brought the device over to the Hopebringer. It was a small, glowing sphere that hummed with energy. "Once it's in the star's core, it will create a force field that will hold the star together for millions of years," Zork explained. They started preparing a small ship for the mission. It would be a one-way trip, flying straight into the star. As they worked, alarms suddenly blared. "The star," Vortek yelled. "It's starting to collapse." They rushed to the window. The star was pulsing, growing brighter and dimmer. They were running out of time. "Where's Dr. Chen?" Ava suddenly asked. "Has anyone seen her?" That's when they noticed the small ship was missing too. Alex's face went pale. "No," he whispered. He ran to the communication panel. Chen, do you copy?" Dr. Chen's face appeared on the screen. She was in the small ship, heading towards the star. "I'm sorry, Captain," she said, her voice calm. "But this is the right thing to do." "Chen, turn back," Alex ordered. "That's an order." But Chen shook her head. "You're needed to lead the crew, Captain, and Earth will need you to help with the Zyloxian refugees if this doesn't work. This is my choice. Tears filled Alex's eyes. "Linda, please." Dr. Chen smiled sadly. "It's okay, Alex. I've had a good life, and now I can save millions more. Tell my family I love them." They watched, helpless, as Chen's ship flew towards the dying star. The heat was intense. The ship's outer layer started to melt away. "Approaching the core now," Chen reported, her voice shaking a little. It's beautiful in here." Those were her last words. The ship disappeared into the star's fiery depths. For a moment, nothing happened. The star continued to pulse dangerously. Then suddenly, a wave of energy burst out from the star's center. It spread quickly, enveloping the entire star. "The core temperature is stabilizing," Vortex shouted, looking at his instruments. "It's working." Slowly, the star's pulsing stopped. Its angry red color faded, replaced by a steady, warm glow. Cheers erupted on both ships and on the planet below. The Xyloxians were saved. Their world would live on. But aboard the Hopebringer, the celebration was bittersweet. They had succeeded, but at a terrible cost. Alex stared out at the star, now peaceful and stable. "Goodbye, Linda," he whispered. "And thank you." As news of Dr. Chen's sacrifice spread, humans and Xyloxians alike mourned her loss. She would be remembered as a hero on two worlds. The danger was past, but their journey was far from over. Now they had to build a future where humans, Xyloxians, and their new Galactic Alliance friends could live and work together. And somewhere, in the heart of a shining star, Dr. Linda Chen's legacy lived on, giving life to billions for generations to come. 5 years had passed since the day Dr. Chen saved the Xyloxian star. The Hopebringer was returning to Earth, carrying a very special group of passengers. Captain Alex stood on the bridge, watching as the familiar blue planet grew larger on the screen. He smiled at Carlin, who was floating beside him in the zero gravity. "Nervous?" he asked the Xyloxian scientist. Carlin's skin shimmered with excitement. "A little," she admitted. "I never thought I'd visit another world." They were bringing the first group of Xyloxian ambassadors to Earth. It was a big step in the growing friendship between the two planets. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, the ship's comm system crackled to life. "Hopebringer, this is Earth Control. Welcome home." Alex felt a lump in his throat. "Thank you, Earth Control. It's good to be back." The ship landed smoothly in a special area, built just for this occasion. A large crowd had gathered to welcome them, waving Earth and Xylox flags. As the crew and their Xyloxian guests stepped out, cheers erupted. Cameras flashed and reporters shouted questions. The President of Earth stepped forward to greet them. "Welcome to Earth," she said, bowing in the Xyloxian style. Zarlin bowed back. "Thank you for having us. We bring greetings and friendship from Xylox." Over the next few weeks, the Xyloxians toured Earth. They were amazed by the oceans, fascinated by the variety of cultures, and puzzled by things like pets and sports. One day, they visited a school. The children were full of questions. "Do you really have 4 arms?" one little girl asked Zarlin. Zarlin laughed and waved all 4 of her arms. "We sure do. Want to see a trick?" She juggled 4 balls, much to the children's delight. Meanwhile, back on Xylox, humans were helping to set up a new space program. Maria was leading a team teaching Xyloxians about Earth's rocket technology. No, she said gently to a young Xyloxian. "The fuel goes in this tank, not that one, unless you want the ship to go backwards." The Galactic Alliance had become good friends too. They shared their advanced technology with both Earth and Xylox. Soon, ships were traveling between the 3 cultures regularly. But it wasn't all easy. Some people on both planets were scared of the changes. They didn't trust the aliens. One day, protesters gathered outside the new Xyloxian embassy on Earth. They held signs saying "Earth for humans" and "Go home, aliens." Alex and Zarlin watched the protest on TV, looking worried. Maybe this was a mistake, Kazarlan said sadly. Maybe our peoples are too different. But then something amazing happened. A group of humans formed a line in front of the embassy. They held their own signs. Welcome friends, and one universe, many peoples. One of the humans stepped forward with a microphone. It was Sarah, the SETI scientist who had first heard the Xyloxian signal. Listen, she said to the crowd. I know change is scary, but think about it. When the Xyloxians needed help, we answered. And because of that, we've gained wonderful new friends and knowledge. We're not losing Earth. We're gaining a whole universe. Her words touched many hearts. Slowly, the angry protesters left. As months passed, things got better. Humans and Xyloxians worked together on big projects. They built huge space stations where both species could live comfortably. They started exploring the galaxy together. 1 year after the Xyloxians' visit to Earth, a special ceremony was held. On a new space station hanging between Earth and Xylox, leaders from both planets met. They signed a historic treaty, forming the Earth-Xylox Alliance. It promised friendship, cooperation, and mutual protection. As Alex watched the signing, he thought about how far they'd come. From a desperate cry for help to true friends and partners. After the ceremony, Alex found a quiet spot to look out at the stars. He thought about Dr. Chen and her sacrifice. I wish you could see this, Linda, he said softly. Zarlin joined him. Thinking about Dr. Chen, she asked. Alex nodded. You know, Carlin said, on Xylox, we believe that when someone dies saving others, their spirit becomes a star. Maybe she's up there, watching over all of us. Alex smiled at the thought. Together, the human and the Xyloxian stood in comfortable silence, looking out at the vast, beautiful universe that was now their shared home. As they watched, a shooting star streaked across the sky. A new adventure was just beginning.